Hi, my name is Olivia and welcome back to my channel. So one thing that I get asked a lot is, fine, I'm going to declutter. Where is all this stuff going to go? And so this video is just going to give you a few ideas of where you can take the stuff that you declutter to ensure that one, you're getting rid of the stuff that you have responsibly, and two, you don't procrastinate when it comes to moving or transitioning the stuff that you don't need to another place or to someone else who would enjoy the things better. So if you're decluttering a chunk of items, you want to divide your declutter pile into 3 piles: donate, sell, trash, or recycle or repurpose. So you can have 3 to 4 piles. So for someone like me who declutters routinely, I don't need to have those 3 piles, but by now I know what I'm going to sell, what I'm going to donate, and what I'm going to trash. Let's start with donating. We live in a country where there's a lot of people who don't have basic needs, who don't have resources, and a lot of the times as an adult you wonder, if I donate my clothes to a children's home, am I really helping anyone? And the answer is yes, because children in a children's home don't remain children forever. They grow up, they live with caregivers who probably need clothes. Donating clothes that are in good condition to a children's home would be really useful. A lot of people also work with hand-me-downs. If you have younger siblings, there's a huge chance that you have handed down some of your pieces, and that's also a way to go about it. Also, when you're donating, just ensure that if you want to donate something that has a small glitch, stitch it up. If it's missing a button, just add the button before you donate it, because you don't want to pass down the work of fixing to someone else. So when it comes to selling, I do it 2 ways. One, I have an online auction on my Instagram where I sell clothes and other items that I might not need, or rather that I've established that I don't need anymore, and get a few coins out of it. Normally, when you go the selling route, you need to be aware that you won't get the same value that you bought the item for, and you need to be okay with that, because your main goal needs to be getting rid of the item or ensuring that the item goes out of your space and to someone who could use it better. So normally when I auction things, I'm just okay with the fact that I might sell something for almost 10 times less than I bought it, but my main intention is to ensure that it's no longer occupying space and my time and stuff like that. So the other way I've gone about selling is by selling items to these people, these Mare people. If you live in an estate in Nairobi, you've probably come across these people who go around with buckets and plastic items, and they more often than not take clothes and old electronics for exchange. So if you need new buckets, you can always switch out a pile of clothes for a bucket or 2 or a dish rack, whatever you need that these people are taking round and round. This is also a really good way to get rid of old newspapers. If you're in a household where there's a ton of old newspapers, you can actually sell them and get a few coins, a few shillings to buy something random in the house. It's not gonna get you much, but it's going to get you back your space. Another thing that you should just do with the items that you declutter is trash. Just put them in the trash. For a lot of people, throwing away things that once seemed valuable and now no longer serve their purpose is hard. The thing is, we live in a country where there are a lot of people who get their items from the trash. I once spoke to someone on Instagram who said that she felt guilty about throwing away glass bottles because of the environment and everything like that. And I thought, well, you're not saving the environment by keeping these things in your house either. And the thing is, in Kenya, there's a really big bunch of people living in low-income communities who depend on recycling for money. So if you can just put something in the trash, if you don't use it, as long as you're disposing responsibly, there's someone who will probably recycle it. For items that you just don't know what to do with, like an old mattress, it's not doing you any good sitting in your house, an old fridge. I've actually seen my parents put an old mattress in the trash, and the people who came collecting the trash were super happy about it and they were fighting over it. And I think one thing as privileged middle income Kenyans, what we don't realize is that our trash is literally someone else's livelihood. So keeping it in your house and going like, oh, this thing was once valuable, I don't know what to do with it, and it just sits in your store consuming space. It could actually be someone else's bed, or someone could use it, recycle it, and get some money. So put these things in the trash. If it's not worth donating or selling, just put it in the trash. Another way to get rid of some of the things that you want to declutter is probably to recycle or repurpose. If you're in a position to recycle or repurpose, do it. And I'm a big believer that for things that you have, you don't always have to use them the way they're meant or they're created to be used. For example, this item here on my wall, that was ideally a fruit basket, but I really felt like it would look really cool on my wall alongside some other art pieces. So I decided, hey, you know what, I'm gonna put it on my wall. So that's an example of repurposing. You can just decide, okay, this dress doesn't work as a dress for me. I'm gonna cut it up and it's going to be a skirt. And if it turns out to be a beautiful skirt, great. The danger with this though is if you're doing a lot of makeshift DIYs, you might end up with a bunch of stuff that backfires and then you end up with more clutter. So unless you're gonna, you know for sure what you're doing when it comes to repurposing, or you're willing to let the item go once it backfires. I know I have some items that have backfired, and I just had to let them go. Then let it go and just put it in the trash. If you're intending for clothing items to go to people living in the streets and people who don't have homes, because the thing is, not so many people are actually in an institution like a children's home or an old people's home. So if you're looking to put something in the trash for someone else to find it, I would advise that you just wrap it in a nice shopping bag, wrap it properly. If it's a pair of shoes, just wrap it properly and put it in the shopping bag, then put it in the trash. If it's a piece of clothing, just wrap it properly again, preferably something that's not gonna seep in water. I don't know if there's still any of those, given that nylon was banned in Kenya, if it was truly banned, because Wakenya ni wale wale. So those are basically 5 ways in which you can dispose your items responsibly. And the reason why I emphasize on the being responsible part is that we're living in a time, whether or not you believe in climate change, the climate is changing and human beings have a huge effect on how the earth is responding. Live and dispose responsibly. This is just a bonus. Another thing to do with items that you might not need or want, especially clothes, is to do a swap. You find that sometimes clothes that don't fit you or you don't like anymore could be clothes that your friends like or fit them a little bit better. So if you have a friend that you know like that, you can just take a photo of the item and just be like, hey, I have this piece of clothing in my wardrobe and I don't think, I'm gonna wear it anymore. Do you think you'd like it? And the reason why it's really important to ask is so that you're not just dumping clutter on someone else. And actually I do that with my close friends. And I'm like, hey, do you think you'd wear this, or do you think you'd like this? And if they say yes, great. And some people want to fit the item first and then decide, that's great. And for me, the thing is, one, it's left my wardrobe and it's going to someone who's going to enjoy the item. And this works for not just clothes. Sometimes it's shoes, sometimes it's a notebook, sometimes it's just whatever you find in the excess. Just ask someone else who might be close to you, hey, do you think you'd like this item? And take a photo and let them decide. And if they decide they want it, great. So that's all for today. If you have any questions, this video actually sparked from someone asking me a question. So if you have any questions, let me know. Sometimes disposing your items might be really hard, but the one thing that you shouldn't do is let your items stay in one place for a long time. The earlier you find a transition point for your items, and that's from your place to the place that they're supposed to go, the better. Have a nice week. See you in the next one.